Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
We're going to talk about one of my favorite subjects and one that affects all of us. And you're going to find some value in this as you listen. We're going to talk about relationships and cultivating them, and specifically today, moving on from relationships that don't serve you. It's often been said that people are in your life for a season or a reason. I firmly believe that, but we're going to go deeper. And it all comes down to one thing. It's about energy. The energy in the relationship, why it didn't work, why you pick certain relationships after that. And he knows all about that. He's an amazing life coach, and it's kind of his wheelhouse, relationships. We got a great one with him. Andrew Dale is back on the program. Andrew, welcome. How you doing?
Great. How are you, Steve?
Doing very well. We've skimmed this before in terms of relationships and how we often find the wrong person because we didn't close the door on the previous relationship or the issues there. But it is really all about energy, right?
Absolutely. Knowing what you want and what you don't want and being certain about things, that really makes a huge difference. Like if you're coming to the end of a relationship, if you've already left the relationship, it's really important that you get very clear on where you're going, because so many people say to me, I'm never getting into another serious relationship again. I'm done. I've had it, which I understand. Mm-hmm. And my response to that is, well, that's okay for now, but we're not going to allow that to continue. And because it's important, but we've got to go back and not repeat the previous relationships, whether that's, and the part that where energy comes into this is that past relationship might be the relationship you have with your parents or your grandparents or, what you picked up. We forget that what we learned as a 2 and 3 and 4-year-old stays with us until we change, right? And that energy, if you're sitting around a kitchen table at 2 years old, and that energy in that table is that there's never enough, and you find that your relationships are breaking up because there's never enough. There's never enough money. There's never enough, what time, and that reflects your younger self, then that's where it's coming from. So, and you're carrying that energy forward. You're carrying that energy of lack of never knowing that there will never be enough.
And does that, when you say in this example, when it'll never be enough, does that come into play with everything? Meaning it could be money, and that's the center of a lot of issues in relationships. Could it be never enough love? Is it everything?
It can be, because one of the most amazing things I find with people is if they think back to their times of prosperity, generally their relationships are going well. When they think back of times of lack of money, it's when their relationships aren't going well, whether that's their relationship with someone else or their relationship with themselves. That correlation with money is a straight up link for most people. And because we're told as we're growing up, quite often we're told that focusing on money is bad, right? But money is our partner in life. We'll say wealth is our partner in life. If you haven't got enough money, then money has control of you. If you don't have enough money to pay your bills, you're going to be stressed. You've now given your emotions, feelings over to another entity, being a lack of money. So if you have enough money, if you have enough love, then things are going to go a lot better for you because you're on the right track and your energy will be much higher. If you can pay all your bills and have money left over at the end of the month, how does that feel? Does that feel that's great? I don't have to worry about it? Or and I'm not talking about other goals. I'm just being very simplistic here. But if you get to the end of the month and you haven't got enough money to pay your rent, you're not going to be in a very good place. You're going to be stressed and everything else. And to say that, and this is where it's not greedy to value money. It's only greed is something that is being greedy is being selfish. So whether that's with your money or with your love life or with people around you, it's just a form of selfishness, right? And but that doesn't mean you've got more or less money. It just means that the money you've got, you don't want to share.
Well, I've often heard it said that we have a relationship with money. And somebody once told me too, listen, if you're, struggling with money and that whole situation, visualize as if money is at your dining room table. You invited money over and they're they're going to have a meal with you, and take it from that standpoint that it is a relationship that you have with money. And that relationship, it's almost like having a best friend. Then you meet possible life partner. The best friend and the life partner really have to get along because that is part of your life. You have a relationship with your best friend. So it's kind of the same thing with money. What about, Andrew, if you come out of a relationship and maybe it ended on a bad note, maybe it was sudden, whatever it might be, but you don't see the lesson there. You don't see why it ended. You know what the person did, but you don't know why you had that person in your life and why you maybe allowed that to happen or not. Where do you go from there? Or is that something when you work with somebody you could help them figure that out?
Oh, absolutely. It's all part of the process. If you don't know why the relationship ended, that means it ended a long time ago and the person just gave up talking to you. That's a very broad brush. They might have found an ex-girlfriend that popped back into their life or whatever. But generally,
but that doesn't mean it was right.
No,
we're not condoning that. Yeah, we're just they have issues. The other person has issues too because they, as we always say, that relationships, if somebody cheats, it's not all about a physical situation. It's more about them having issues. But yeah, I just want to make that clear that we're not saying that that's okay.
Yeah, and it's not always the cheating. It can come to an end just because people stop talking.
Sure.
And that gets really confusing because, as you were saying, why did this relationship come to an end?
Yep.
And people have stopped talking. But the important part there is why did you attract that person in the first place? But rather than going back and trying to figure out what you did wrong, that's the point where you write down what you will and won't accept in a relationship. And that's the most important thing you can do at that point, because you'll probably find out there's things in that list that person who's just left the relationship, they were absolutely driving you nuts. These are things in there that were I never go there. I refuse to be disrespected. I don't want someone who's going to have a drama every Sunday night before I go to work the next day. If you've got someone and you've told them 1,000 times, please don't do that, and they keep doing it every Sunday night, they're killing the relationship. And whether you like it or not, if that's one of your internalized feelings, part of your energy, every time they do that to you, they're dissipating your energy. And so, it's not one person's fault or another you're looking for. It's, hey, let's let the past go and move on to what we really want in the next relationship. There's a little bit of going back, but most of it's going forward. You have to heal the wounds. There's going to be some moments in there that really hurt, and we have to deal with them. Overall, there's going to be some really good moments as well, but we need to make sure the next relationship has lots of great moments and the synergies are just there, and the reason you write out the list is you're creating a new energy for yourself, and you don't, as you meet you start dating again or whatever the case may be, you might not have had a breakup. You might have been single for years. The same situation applies where you have to, once you've got the energy of what you will and won't accept in your heart and in your soul, and 100% confidently what you're looking for in a person, you'll walk into the dates or you'll be online and you'll be going, no, this person's not for me. They're just not gelling, because you know what you want, and there won't be that energy match there. Or you'll go out to dinner and you'll be much more confident to say no. You'll go out to dinner, you'll meet a nice person, a nice guy or gal, whichever the case may be, and you'll say, no, they're not for me. I can have a nice evening, but this is going nowhere. Whereas if you don't know that, if you don't have your energy in the right place, you'll say, oh, I'll give this a go, even though there's 1,000 things in there that are just going to fight each other. And some people see this as trying to judge someone else before you start, and it's absolutely not judging. It is knowing what you want and being confident in who you are and attracting those people into your life. You should be able to sit down with someone comfortably and talk for hours. If you can't do that, there's something wrong. If the person who you're with doesn't give you, doesn't gel with your energy, it's just going to be a constant battle, and by giving people that space too, some people will grow into your energy. If you're, especially, there's so much turmoil around at the moment where men and women, their previous roles are in flux at the moment. There's a lot of guys that are trying to assert themselves more, and women that are lost as well. If you find who you really are, the men will allow the masculine energy to come out in a way that's appropriate, and the women will be the same, and you'll be able to have good conversations around, if you need to have them, around the energies of today, all that turmoil and things like that. You've got to be able to talk about things and get on the same page. A great example of what I think a lot of people are looking for now as far as men and women go, even though some people will think I'm crazy, that's okay. But if you have a look at the old show, The Waltons, and look at the father on that show, he respected everyone. He expected respect from everyone.
Mm-hmm.
His wife was the same. He respected everyone, and he gave respect to everyone. Right? So it's so important that we understand that respect, that energy. It's okay to have that type of relationship as a basis. That was grounded in spirituality. It was grounded in mutual respect. So
I don't think you're crazy. I think that is reasonable to want that in a relationship. And all the other things that come along with it. And I agree with you nowadays that, if you're 30 plus, you got baggage, and maybe sometimes more than ever. And there are so many people that are in the process of possibly getting divorced, maybe even still living in the same house for financial reasons. And then that's another, I've heard that a lot. There's another challenge there. So, a question for you. You're going to think I'm crazy on this one. Okay. Is it possible? Now, we talk about energy, and if you subscribe to the way energy can work, it knows no boundaries. The energy, people can do Reiki, energy healing virtually. I've had it
Yep.
done. I totally believe in it. When your dating sites is really the way to go, because it is the only way to go now. Organically, it's hard to meet people. Is it possible to pick up on somebody's energy just through a dating site, let's say, or dating app? Let's say you start messaging with somebody. Is it possible to pick up on the energy that they're throwing out there? Let's say you just go with your gut immediately, and it's like, she's really cute. I just want to continue the conversation, but something's telling me that something's not right there. Should you go with that? What are your thoughts?
Look, it's you can tell a lot about what's going on with someone from texting. That's absolutely something you can tell. As far as before you meet them, even if you do a video chat before you make an absolute decision or whatever the case may be, you can see where someone's at, but you might not know what's actually going on behind there. The dating apps are one place to go. The other thing I suggest to a lot of people is, if you, a lot of us are coming up for retirement. What are you doing in retirement? There's a lot of things like tennis circuits that go all the way around the world. There's sailing clubs, all these old basic things. There's woodworking clubs for the guys. All of these things give you that sense of community. And the sense of community, it gives you places to be, to talk to people. And you may well find that they're that's where your next, partner's coming from.
You may meet somebody, you're right. You may meet somebody, let's say, it's a tennis club, whatever it might be. You may meet, let's say you're a guy, you may meet another guy, you guys start talking, and he's got a sister who's single recently, whatever the case may be. You never know. I totally agree with you. You got to take the next step, put yourself out there. But I firmly believe if your gut tells you that something is, even in just some basic texting, and I totally agree with you, Andrew, you can tell a lot by the way somebody communicates. If they communicate the way you do, everybody has a different style, but right out of the gate, you can kind of feel it. And then if you're getting that feeling, whether this is good or bad, I go with your gut.
Yeah, look, and I'm not saying, like, if it's a big, huge red flag, if you're not on the same planet, run.
Sure.
But if there's an inkling there that you're saying, look, this is interesting, because dating should be fun. I don't know why, like, everyone seems to, it should be fun. If you're in a position where you're really confident about what you want in life, and the dating is about meeting people, having fun, then you don't mind you might not go out with them, but you might have a video chat and have a bit of a talk, and spend a little bit more time to figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
It should be fun. At the end of the day, the date should be just about getting to know each other, having fun, and too often it seems to be, especially with all the hookups and everything else, all the pressures are really weird at the moment. If a lady says, I'm not sleeping with you for the first 5 dates, a lot of guys bail on that. Whereas, but they tell you that they're looking for a long-term girlfriend. Well, you're not really looking for a long-term girlfriend. You're looking for a hookup,
Yeah.
if that's what you're looking for, you know. And everyone thinks it's different now from when we grew up, a long time ago. The difference is everyone's so more open about it. You know, when I grew up, girls were still, if they wanted to hook up, the girls could hook up in a moment. You know, the guys had to work a lot harder. And the balance has shifted a little bit where the guys have a lot more power because the girls are putting everything on social media, and it's crazy. You've got to keep your private life private a bit.
I'm
So,
just going to say this, that men and women are the same for the most part. We all
oh
want
yeah,
the same thing. We
yeah,
all, whatever it is, whether it's a long-term relationship, somebody just to have fun with and do things with, we're all coming from the same place. It's when people get discouraged because it didn't go their way. Well, you can't blame it on that guy that you met, for example, because he was a jerk. Well, you needed to read him a little bit better and kind of flush him out before you even got to that point. And then guys can, it can go bad on the first date and you thought it was going to be okay. But I feel sometimes, listen, I've gone into dates. I don't want to say this, to jinx it, but I had a gut feeling, it's probably not going to be the best person in the world, but let me go with it. Let me see. My gut was telling me I probably shouldn't do it.
yeah,
And that's what and I don't want to say that I manifested that. I was just listening to my gut because I was all positive. It's a lot of boxes are being checked here, but hey, I'm not. Let me just go with it. And you know what? My gut was usually right. For whatever
yeah,
reason, it just the energy wasn't there. But I think you can tell kind of in the beginning, if you read the texting or you get on the phone for the first conversation and they're trashing their ex, like insanely trashing their ex, been there, done
yeah,
that it ended right there. And I actually sent the text back and I said, "You're very nice, but you have a lot to heal from with your
yeah,
ex. You're still going through it." And that still being in the situation, that's okay. But if you're harboring those really toxic feelings about somebody, it's not the right time.
yeah. No, and that's
You know what
part
it
of it.
is? It's the time to call Andrew. It's what it really is.
Look, absolutely. Look, it's silly to go jump into the next relationship when you haven't dealt with the past one. You're exactly right there. And, and you're coming from a place more in New York where there's it's a lot faster, whereas I'm a bit more country. So, time is more available to me. Whereas in New York, it's yes or no a minute, it's done.
Yeah.
But, but no, you're exactly right. If you've just come out of a relationship and you're not ready, you got to get yourself ready. You're just wasting your time and everyone else's time.
Mm,
If you're going to take toxic energy into the next relationship, because you're not going to get the person you want, you're going to get a toxic person. Who's kind of who wants a person who wants toxic energy around them.
for
If
sure.
you find someone with toxic energy, that means they grew up with toxic energy and their comfort zone is toxic energy. So
That I that was my first marriage. It
well,
was yes, not to get personal too technical, but to back up what you're saying. She came from an abusive past, and I'm very passive, chill. I like to not have confrontation, fair about everything. And she would always want to push a button because she wanted to engage in what she was familiar with.
yeah,
Everything turned into a fight. Like, no, no, let's just kind of work this out. It's okay. But that was her comfort zone. Probably didn't even know that was being done.
yep, yep.
Yeah. But
No, yeah.
it
If
goes
you're
back to the
used to
childhood.
toxic energy, yeah, you've got to you've got to move past the toxic energy yourself. Otherwise, you just get, that's
Yeah.
what you're going to draw out of the next person. And that's a distinction that a lot of people don't understand. If you can say, I'm hooking up, I'm getting together with my ex every time, or if you want to be a little bit harder on yourself or a bit more knowing, what am I drawing out of these people? Why am I drawing this toxicity out of people? And that's a hard pill to swallow, because that means you're contributing to the outcome of those relationships.
Yeah.
But once you understand that you're contributing, I'm not saying the other person's people are great or whatever. I'm just saying, what are you drawing into your relationships? And that's why that list is important. What will I and what I won't accept in a relationship? And if you won't accept toxicity, as the toxicity arrives, you can go, why is this toxicity here? I don't want it, and now you have to deal with it. Because
I want to find out, we have a moment left, but I'm really curious on that list, because I've heard it should be done many, many times. And you've said it many times before as well. When you make that detailed list of that perfect person, should you only list the things that you want, or should you list the things that you want and you don't want?
It's about the energy. Like, some people do the physical things and all of that as well, which is fine. Sure. But definitely what you will accept in a relationship and what you won't accept. And do one that's just straight energy. Do a list that's straight, how they'll behave, how I will feel, down the will accept and won't accept. And then, if you want to do your physical attributes too, that's fine, whatever suits.
I would put them on there. I would put them on there anyway, because as I've learned it, you should be very detailed. Exactly. It doesn't mean you're going to get that, but at least you put that energy out there. But you have to be open to things too. Let's say, somebody's into somebody with dark hair, and they meet somebody that has lighter hair, but all the other qualities are there. You have to be open to it. Same thing if
you might be in a different month for them.
Well, yes.
Last month they might have had dark hair.
This is true. Yeah. And if you put on there, you want somebody that has, facial hair. Not for me though. No women. I'm just going to say that. Andrew, you're great. You always get to the heart of relationships, and that really is your wheelhouse. Somebody wants to reach out to you and recognize those things that aren't working. How do they do that?
So my website, andrewjdale.com. Go on there, grab the free clarity session, come and have a talk. Let me know what's going on now, and we'll have a talk about where we see you going in the future. And that's a free service. And then my phone number is 410-991-8119. Just give me a call.
Yeah. Go to the website, andrewjdale, DALE.com. Especially what we said before, if you've been in relationships, or even the last one that didn't work out, but you're really not sure why it didn't work out, it's time to start looking into that. Andrew, always great having you with us. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Steve. Talk soon.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house. And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned.
This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.